to weigh in, founder of Geltrude and Company, Dan Geltrude. Dan, it's so great to see you. So Dan, it's apparently now the consumer's fault. I guess everyone needs to stop buying stuff.
Yeah, let's point out the blatantly obvious here and say, well, we're having a problem because people want their stuff. Well, no kidding. We knew that this demand was going to be there, especially post-pandemic, even though we're really not post-pandemic yet. So what did you think that was going to happen? You loaded up people with all kinds of money from the government and then say, well, maybe we can get your stuff or not. Of course, people want their things. Now, look, here's the issue. The president turns around and says, we need to get these ports running 24/7. Okay, we'll get all the ships unloaded and all the stuff is on the dock. And now what? Where does it go? We don't have enough truck drivers. So this goes back to the problem all across the board. You shut down the economy, you don't incentivize people to go back to work, and then you wonder why we're having a problem with getting goods and services to people and why we have inflation. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a multi-layer issue, that's for sure. And yeah, if you drill down and look at it, I mean, there's so many other reasons as to why we're facing this crisis right now. It was predictable, and it's been happening for quite some time. And now, obviously, it's just when people get to the grocery stores and they see empty shelves, now all of a sudden people are like freaking out. But that being said, if you look at the trucking industry, as you pointed out, it's like, okay, so if they get all this going 24 hours, they still need the truckers to drop this stuff off. We need the workers. But then there's also regulations and other things in the trucking industry that makes it more difficult to recruit drivers as well.
Yeah, it does, because what happens here is if you go along the lines of say, okay, it's all hands on deck. We're going to have the ports operating 24/7, and therefore we'll be able to get the product off the ships. Okay, now, even if we had enough trucks to be able to take all of this product to its destination, truck drivers are subject to regulations as to how long they're allowed to be on the road, for example. So you can't really go to a 24/7 operation related to the truck drivers. So you still continue to have this bottleneck. So until somebody actually looks at this problem as a whole, which, by the way, I believe was caused in large part by the policies of this administration, that aside, we're still not going to solve this unless you look at the entire picture. How are you going to get product from point A to point B? You have to look at all the steps in between to make sure these bottlenecks are not going to stop the process. You can't solve one problem and allow just the goods and services to get jammed up somewhere else.
Yeah, and then you have to ask, where's the leadership on this? We have the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, who's been on paternity leave for a while, and it's like, well, where was somebody to be in his place to manage this crisis? And so, yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's not going to be solved overnight. So it's like they have people working on it now. And that's great that Governor DeSantis is stepping forward and saying, hey, like, we'd be happy to help in Florida. But it's a little bit more complicated than that.
It really is. Look, maybe Florida does have the ability, whether it's through technology or they have the labor force to get these ships unloaded. And if that's the case, that's great. However, it still goes back to what we're saying related to, okay, now you have all this product in Florida. How does it get to its destination? And that really is going to be the big question mark across the board, Steph, as far as, are people going to be able to get product in time for the holiday season? And if they're not, it's not just a matter of the consumers are going to be upset. How about all these companies relying upon seasonal earnings that they're simply not going to be able to get product to the end user, and therefore they're going to lose out on all that revenue, and the circle goes round and round and round.
Yeah, and then Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said, oh, well, you know, maybe people should just start doing their Christmas shopping early. And it's like he's trying to make this into a laughing matter or a joke, and it's not. Well, Dan, we appreciate you joining us on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steph.
Of course, coming up next.